Hi guys, still not Arnie, back again, and this is my review of the Acer Iconia W4. It's an 8-inch Windows 8.1 tablet with a resolution of 1280 by 800, 2GB of RAM and the Intel Atom battery at 3740. Is it worth buying or not? Let's find out in my full review. Okay, let's start and take a look at the design and the build quality. For me, the first impression is always pretty important. So what is my first impression when I hold it up? It is pretty heavy for an 8-inch device compared to the competitors with about 415 grams. It is noticeably heavier than the G-Pad 8.3 or Dell Venue 8, which is the closest competitor, which is also a Windows 8.1 tablet. But I think it's pretty manageable and it feels still nice. What about the feel in the hand? It is good due to those nicely rounded edges, but it also has some unnecessary edges like this one here and this border all around. This could have been flush, but this is no deal breaker at all. For the build quality itself, as you can hear, this is slightly shallow and this is a fake glossy metal finish. It is kind of slippery, but it feels at least nice in the hand. This is no problem. But here's one thing about the build quality I wanted to show you. As you can see, you have a plain display now. And now it's not anymore. Here the same. It's pretty bendable. At some point it always gets back into its flat position, but it's still weird. And I will show you one thing more in the display section, what is weird about this flex. And it's no bendable display. Don't take this for granted. Okay, so let's take a look at the ports and the button placement. Here we have the micro SD card slot, the micro HDMI. Here we have the volume rocker, which is slightly flimsy, but this is no problem. It delivers a nice haptic feedback. Here we have the microphone. On the left side we have the power button. On the right side we have the stereo speakers, which I will talk about later in the sound part. Here is the micro USB port and the headphone jack. So in overall, what are my thoughts about design and the build quality? It feels okay in the hand, but not really premium, especially for the price of $299 for the 32GB version and 350 euros for the 64GB version. But you have to consider this one has a micro HDMI port, and this makes it very useful in desktop mode. So if you want micro HDMI, right now it's only the Acer and the Toshiba Encore which delivers one. So that's it for the design and the build quality. It's okay, but it could be better, especially for the price. Okay, it's time to talk about the display. We have an 8.1-inch display with a resolution of 1280 by 800. This is pretty low res and my main gripe, but let's talk about the rest first. As you can see, the blacks are pretty deep and nice. Definitely nothing to complain here. The colors, I have to say, are pretty nice. They are definitely not overblown, pretty detailed, vibrant, vivid. Nothing to complain here. The whites as well are pretty nice. They are not too warm, not too cold. So the overall display qualities are definitely nice. Also, the viewing angles, absolutely stable, absolutely fine, nothing to complain here, pretty positive here. One more thing. Oh, who's that? Not really sure. I think some kind of politician or so. Oh, yeah, even as a present. But at least he seems pretty happy. But what I wanted to mention again, because of the display resolution. When you are in the browser, my first moment when I saw the device, I felt it pretty horrible because it was so grainy and everything else, because you are used to all the 1080p screens, and this is a pretty big setback if you don't use it. But after 1 or 2 days you get used to it. ClearType makes up for some things, but there's also one thing: if you scroll pretty fast, you sometimes see the ClearType in action. You see the resharpening of the text. This is a bit something you have to get used to it, but after 2 days I didn't even notice it anymore. One more thing I wanted to show you was the issue about the flex. As you can see here, I don't touch the screen, and only using the flex I can get it to go back, and sometimes you even see 4 or 5 touches of the screen. This is a pretty... I just wanted to show you this so you don't get confused when you see it. Normally you never flex your device like this. I just notice it when I really do all my really thoroughly tests. I don't think this is an issue, but just so you know it, the flex is there, it is noticeable, and it makes the device feel a bit more cheap than it has to be. But overall, besides the lower screen resolution, the display in terms of the qualities are nice. The colors are great, the white is great, the black is pretty nice. I have some slight edge bleeding here at the bottom, but in normal lit rooms you won't notice this when you're watching movies or something like this. I only notice it when I really looked for it. Overall, good display, without the resolution problems, and the flex problems I wouldn't even consider. Just wanted to show you. That's it for the display. Let's head over to the sound and what I think about it. A quick demonstration here just at the start. Okay, I think this should be enough. I think some of the qualities are pretty obvious. If it's lying flat on the table, it reflects pretty nicely and it's pretty loud. But you've also heard when I hold it like this, you always block this speaker here. Almost all the time. This means you only have this one and this one gets muffled. This diminishes the whole sound experience. But one thing is good, it is pretty loud all the time, louder than the Nexus 7 or similar tablets. So this makes really up for a lot of things, but there are also some qualities. It doesn't have really a lot of bass, almost none at all. The treble is pretty harsh and really bad to hear, so not the best sound experience, but I'm pretty happy, and this really makes up for it, the volume. When I'm watching YouTube, I'm mostly watching people talk, and then it's pretty important you hear them, and then the volume is pretty great. If it's mostly for music, then you can't really use 100% because, like I said, the treble is too harsh and there's no really bass. The experience isn't the best, but it really gets the job done for most normal use stuff. So YouTube videos and some movies are okay, but don't expect the best experience. You get a good sound, a nice volume, and this is pretty important. But in overall, the sound, great volume, not the best bass, mids are okay, the treble, like I said, is harsh, but overall, like I said, the volume makes up for a lot, so still okay, and maybe even one of the better sounding 8.1 inch tablet. Talking about performance, I have to admit, pretty much all the Windows 8.1 tablets I tested so far perform pretty much the same. As you can see here, it is super fast still, the scrolling is buttery smooth, the zooming, app switching as well. And here's one nice thing, if you stream a PDF file over the network, you can see this is a PDF file with about 50 megabytes and it's absolutely smooth. All the apps are totally fine, absolutely. The performance, like I said, is always really amazing, absolutely top notch. Compared to the 3770 in the 10.1 inch tablets, this is ever so slightly less smooth, but you wouldn't really notice it ever without a direct comparison. Everything is still absolutely perfectly smooth. The Sun Spider is about at 450 milliseconds compared to 300 of the 10 inch devices. And one nice thing about the disk speeds, I got 160 megabytes read and 65 megabytes of write. This is definitely faster than the other tablets I tested, because those Intel Bay Trail, they got about 85 megabytes read and 45 megabytes of write, so this is faster. I don't know why they used the faster one. This is pretty a nice surprise to me, but definitely a nice job here. Talking about battery life, a full charge takes up about 3.5 to almost 4 hours. This is significantly more than the 10.1 inch tablets I reviewed so far. Those needed about 3 hours, maybe 3.5 at tops, but therefore you get a battery life. You won't really have to worry about that. It lasts all day. I could get even through 3 days of normal casual use, 2 more heavy days of use, because battery drain is almost non-existent. Standby drain is the best I've seen so far on any tablet. I had it for over 10 hours in standby when I was at work, and I didn't notice any drain at all, maybe 1 or 2% at all. So the standby drain is even better than on the Z3770. So definitely battery life top notch, performance is always also. And the good thing here, this tablet can easily handle all the modern UI apps, of course, the browsers, of course, Office, sure. You can also do video and photo editing, but I wouldn't really recommend it, mostly because of the size. It just isn't made for it. But for all the lighter office work, this is definitely a great tablet. Just to cover the software real quick, you get the full Office suite, but you also get a lot of bloat from Acer, like you can see here. There's a lot of there here, but you don't really have to worry about that, because I didn't really mind them. I don't see them, I don't notice them. I have my start screen and I don't usually go into this because there is a lot of bloat, but you can always deinstall it. This is not a problem. About Windows 8.1 itself as a tablet, I always say the same when I talk about Windows 8.1 tablets. You have to know what you want. If you want a content consumption device and office work, be more flexible, then Windows 8.1 is still the way to go for, I think. But if you want simply media consumption, a lot of social media and not that much more, I still think maybe Android is the better way. For me personally, the smoothness of Windows 8.1 and the capabilities, the real desktop browser make up for it. Personally, for me, Windows 8.1 is my tablet OS of choice. But as I always say, it is no tablet OS. It is a touch optimized desktop OS, not like iOS or Android. It's time for the summary of this review now. What do you get if you buy this device? You don't maybe get the most solid and premium feel, not the most lightweight. It is kind of slightly chunky and hefty, but therefore it offers micro HDMI, which is pretty useful in desktop use. No digital stylus though. The display, besides being a pretty low res, offers really great qualities, nicely balanced colors, whites and black, everything's okay. The sound delivers no mind-blowing experience, but due to the really high volume, pretty nice experience after all. Definitely no deal breaker, it is good. The performance is absolutely top notch for an 8-inch device, especially compared to any other mobile OS like Android or iOS. The speed is absolutely brilliant. It is a great content consuming machine and offers really great capabilities in terms of office work. Definitely highly recommended if you want to do more office work and still enjoy a lot of media. But therefore don't have too high expectations for social media, because the typing experience isn't that good if you're not using a keyboard. Battery life is also pretty impressive, absolutely fantastic. You can easily get through one heavy day, 2 moderate to heavy days, and maybe even 3 casual days. I had no problem with it after all. So to get back to my initial question, is it worth buying or not? If you're okay with the price, the not so premium feel in the hand, and the low res display and need micro HDMI, then it's definitely one you can consider. If you don't need micro HDMI though, I would consider to buy the Dell Venue 8, which has a better screen, better build quality, and is even less expensive. If you're maybe up to 10-inch, then I would recommend you to buy the HP Omni 10, which costs about the same, maybe $50 more. Therefore it has a better looking 10-inch display, better sound and a way better build quality, and also offers you bigger screen real estate. So you have to really know what you want and decide for yourself. If you liked my review, please give me a thumbs up, reshare this video and subscribe to my channel. Hasta la vista, baby.